surface, you would think it has nothing to do with the business.
Is it about Walter and Ethel? Because I've already...
Oh, you told that story already?
I did.
Oh, I'm going to tell another one.
I'm telling the story.
There was a instructor of martial arts, right? And he had this student. It was a high school student. Student's about 16 years old. And he's going to high school. And in that high school is a guy that always gets bullied. Who? Yes.
The guy in helicopter?
He is a scrawny kid. Yeah. He's always getting bullied, right? And so he's been doing it for like 2 years. People are always consistently bullying him. It didn't help that he had red hair, and his nickname was Bozo.
Bozo.
Bozo, right. And they always bullied him. And so it also didn't help that his mother also worked at the school. And this is a true story. The mother also worked at the school, and the big bully of the school would always be the one consistently pushed on him. But the bully one day, 2 weeks before the school went out, because his mother was working at the school, the mother got the big bully in trouble. So he's going to take it out of her. Her kid. So he says, I'm going to beat you up.
The mom says it.
No.
The helicopter pilot. Sorry.
The bully says this.
Oh.
He goes to the kid, to Bozo, I'm going to beat you up when school is out for the summer. So he's got 2 weeks. So the kid that's in the karate class goes to Bozo and says, you got a problem. He goes, what can I do? He said, come with me. So he goes to his instructor who teaches martial arts. And he begins to tell him what the situation is. So the instructor says, how much time do you got? He says, I got 2 weeks. He goes, I'll help you. He says, but I need to know, what are your limitations here?
$50.
$50
Exactly.
in?
$50.
It was free. He said, well, I don't want to kill him. He goes, okay, so I won't teach you how to kill him. What other your limitations are? Do you want to break any bones? I don't want to cripple him. I goes, okay, so good. So now we're narrowing what we can do, right? And so he begins to teach him what he needs to do. So I'm going to just teach you one move. This is the only move you need to do. He says what he's going to do, he's going to try to come at you. He's going to, anything that you see that's in this distance, don't ignore, but you knock away. So he says he's going to come at you, you knock that away, because he's going to try to come at you and then punch you, right? He says, so when he tries to come at you, you knock it away, you get behind him, you take your knee in the back of him, and you drive it to the ground, and you pull up, and you choke him out. He said, now here's the problem. When you do that, he's going to try to escape. What you can't do is leave him awake after you do this. He has to be out. If he's out, if he's not out, you got a problem, right? Because you can't beat him, right? And so the day happens, and the bully comes up. So for 2 weeks, what they're doing is practice, drilling, and rehearsing, right? And so he's learning how to master it. He's not teaching him stances, just teaching what he needs to do to choke this guy out, right? In the fight as fast as possible. So the day comes, the bully comes up to him and kick your butt. Bozo's like, all right. So they go to the tennis court. The whole school, you ever been in a situation where the whole school knows about it? The whole school, I was in a fight like that once, right? The whole school knew about it, right? And so the whole school knew about it, and they're watching. So the bully does exactly what the guy told him he's going to do. He tries to come after him. Bozo knocks it away, comes around, drives his knee to the ground, and as he's choking him out, the bully starts crying. Bozo has mercy, right? And so when Bozo has mercy, he lets go. The bully comes up, punches him. Only punch of the fight, right? So Bozo's like, ah! And so he does it again, and this time he chokes him out and leaves him unconscious. And so the kids are thinking the bully's dead. The sirens, the police are coming. And so they jump in their car, and they run to the martial arts studio. The martial arts instructor, why'd you come here? You know? So they tell him what happened. The reason why I tell you this story is that when you look at Bozo, he was the least likely guy to ever, number one, get in a fight, let alone win a fight. But all this guy did was teach him some basics for him to survive, choke that guy out, and get out the way. When I was here Saturday. And I'm looking at Mario.
Sergio.
That's what I said, Sergio. The recording, if this is being recorded, that's a lie. And I'm looking at Sergio, right?
What a bozo.
He was a guy that was doing a mobile car wash business, right? He didn't look like a guy that could come into a financial service industry and almost hit $250,000 a year, because that's where he's headed towards. And a lot of us come from backgrounds where we were in the employment realm, and we didn't look like or even had any potential of making $250,000 a year. But yet we have a system that's in place that levels the entire playing field, that can take somebody with no talent, right? Because it's not the talent that gets you where you're going to go, it's you being coachable to a system. In that story, Bozo didn't have any fighting skills, any fighting talent whatsoever, but he was able in 2 weeks' time choke out the bully just to defend himself. What can we do in a short amount of time if all we did was just follow a system that was already in place, follow the numbers, did what we were supposed to do when we were coached to do it, and get the results that everybody else gets? Because they're not getting results because they're better than us. They're not getting results because they speak better than us. They're not getting results because they're better looking than us. We're all better looking than those guys that are making all that money, right? They're not as articulate as us. No. They took a system and mastered the system. The problem is that we're not taking what we learned to do and applying it to the system. Make sense?
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason why any of us here should at least be making six figures if we put our mind to it. Bozo had a sense of urgency. As far as he was concerned, I learned this or die. And the bully would have just beat the crap out of him. It would have been ugly. But he learned something new. He practiced, drilled, and rehearsed it. So Christopher, during the first quarter, was teaching us scripts, right? Because it's easy to play the game when you know the moves that are already coming. We already know the moves that are coming. So why aren't we playing the game? That's a question that you got to ask yourself. So I'm going to go over the numbers with you. We're just going to go over the numbers on what to expect so that you don't get frustrated. And that you know that if you're doing the things you're supposed to do, these are the results that you should expect to get. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. How many guys relate to Bozo? I'm just curious.
Warner's more like the bully.
Warner's the bully. He got choked out.
Some bozo. No, that's all Ram fans.
We're not even going to talk football right now. So, for every confirmed guest that you get, and how many get really excited when they get a guest that confirmed? I mean, you get excited, man. I got a guest coming to the BPM. I did the calls. I overcame objections. They said yes. Guess what? Only 30% of them will show. So we are already set up for 70% of the people that tell us yes to not show up. You would think 3 out of 10 is bad, right? But if you're in baseball, you got a $300 million contract if you're getting 3 out of 10. I was talking to an agent the other day. We were doing a phone zone, I think it was last Saturday after the BPM. And it was asked, why aren't you making calls? Well, I don't like being told no. I mean, we're in a business where we're going to get a whole lot more no's than we're going to get yeses. True or false?
True.
And when they're saying no, what are they saying no to?
An opportunity.
They're saying no to the opportunity, but they're not saying no to you. Right? And what happens is we don't want to make those calls because we don't want to get rejected and we don't want to hear the words no. We're getting no's when they're saying yes and we just don't even know it, and then we get frustrated. So like the last 11, 12 guests that I invited, not that I invited, that I got confirmed guests, right? One showed, and the one that showed came in and immediately turned around and left. Because they thought it was WFG title, is why she came.
Oh, the title company?
Yeah, that's why she came. And so, I mean, I wasn't jumping for joy, I don't know, for 12th Street. But here's the reality. You got to keep calling. You got to keep making the calls. If you don't keep making the calls, you're never going to get to what you want. So the vehicle is designed that even if you get a 30% percentage rate, you're still going to succeed in the business, right? So,
Well, I think, Jim, you shared Monday too, that these numbers, these percentages are not just us. It's in the industry, not even industry.
that's true, yeah.
It's just business.
Yeah.
Yeah, every business has a percent of people that just don't show up. They cancel.
They were talking about people who got hired at Walmart for a grand opening and they had to hire 600 people because they already knew the numbers that a certain percentage wasn't going to show up for the first day of work.
And this is people that were guaranteed an hourly rate. You're going to get paid when you show up and they still don't show up.
Yeah.
So
They all know the numbers.
they all know the numbers.
I know this. What do I know is their numbers?
So these numbers are industry numbers, they're not just
They're industry numbers.
They're people numbers, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's-
people numbers.
They study people. This is how people respond. This is what they do. This is what they say. This is how they act.
Mm.
And we're in the people business. We're going to be dealing with people. So as soon as you know that, then when they don't show up, you're not surprised. I mean, I think you guys had like 17 confirmed guests once, and only like 2 or 3 showed up, right? On live builders. Yeah. But to get to 2 or 3, you got to get 17 confirmed guests to say yes, so that the 14 can say no, so the 3 yeses can show up.
And to be honest on those numbers too, we run an invitation system. Maybe we can invite somebody to come down and they kind of say yes, but then we actually run the captain system, which actually does the confirmation calls. And the numbers are off the captain system confirmation calls, not the invitations.
Right.
So you gotta make sure you have somebody making it helps your numbers. Somebody other than you making a professional call to them to say, I'm calling on behalf of Ricky Monteilh. He has you down coming tomorrow morning to our corporate overview. It's 9 o'clock, so make sure you have the address, professional dress, and make sure and then they go, yep, I'll be there. That, even when they say, yep, I'll be there, because that's what we had today. I think you had 6 or, we had 7 or 8, what did we have on the team? I know you made the calls yesterday for Vivian.
8.
We had 8, we had 8 confirmations out of
19 calls.
the 19 calls.
And then 8
19
confirmations.
invitations.
19 invitations, 8 confirmed.
8 confirms, and we have 3 guests in the room. It's just a number.
So when I say confirmed is not them saying, yes, I'll show up to you.
So you think an invitation is the confirmation? It actually isn't.
No.
That's just the invitation. Now you need to have somebody make the call for you. That's when the real confirmation call goes out.
And that's the numbers I'm talking about, and that's the numbers I was referring to in that over 12th Street that needs to come to an end super fast, right? So, only 30% are going to show up, 70% will not. So if you have a base shop that has 100 confirmed guests, 70% will not show. You know what's interesting? If you're recruiting somebody and you tell them these 2 stats in the interview, you think they join? No.
No.
No. But these are the numbers. These are the stats right here. So of the 70 that do not show,
We do cover that at the fast start. That's the restaurant baseball.
yeah, that's the faster after they sign.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
it's not like we never tell anybody.
No, they know. We set up an appointment with 50% of them.
So so the 70 who don't show you, we were supposed to follow up with those people?
Yeah, my
But they
next
all lied to
statement.
me.
I know, yes, they did all lie to you,
Yeah.
but we are still going to follow up with them. But what we're not going to do is re-invite them to the BPM.
Unless they called you and were considerate enough to return a call to say, look, I can't make it, something came up, then you can extend it one more time.
Yeah.
So if they just don't show up, don't give them another chance to do that.
Yeah. What are we going to do? We're set up a one-on-one. All right? Of the 30 that do show, so here are the numbers even get even more stranger. Of the 30 that do show, 30%. By the way, Maloney was telling me that my penmanship is horrible. Who can read this?
Yeah, we're good.
I've been practicing.
Thank you, though.
No, you influenced me.
Thank you for practicing.
Of the 30% that do show, 70 to 90% are they will say that they're coming back for an interview. 70 to 90%. So we just had somebody yesterday that said they were coming back for an interview. 2 people that said they were coming back for an interview. They show up? No. So even then it's not a guarantee.
So you're saying out of the 70,
No, this is out of the 30.
Out of the 30.
out of the 30 now,
Out of the 70%, I'm telling you, out of the 30% that do show up,
okay,
right?
3 that do show up.
That commit to an interview, right? Oh,
So 2 out of 3 will set up an interview.
70 to 90% will say
okay,
that they will interview.
okay.
Okay? They'll say that they're going to interview.
Which is why it's so crucial to do the interview within 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
The longer it takes, the less likely it's going to happen.
And out of those, only 50% will actually come back of the 30%. So out of that 30%, 70 to 90 will say they're going to come back, but actually only 50% are going to be the ones that actually come back. All right? Which means out of 100 confirmed guests, only 15 guests are coming back. So you get 100 confirmed guests, and 15 are actually going to come back for an interview. That's a low number. So you have a very high attrition rate too, right? So you got to go through the numbers, you got to go through the people. That's the reason why we're consistently making the calls and building momentum and teaching you the scripts, because you got to make a whole lot of calls, which we're going to talk about that in a minute, just to get here, And that's just coming back, right? They haven't joined yet, they're just coming back. So out of that 100, 15 are coming back. 75% of that are going to get AMA with money and fast start. So 75% of that 15, which gives you about 11 recruits. So at the end of the day, you get 100 confirmed guests, you end up with 11 recruits. Gives you about 11%, right?
Or you have 10 confirmed guests. For every 10 confirmed guests, you should get one recruit. And Tom's running these numbers. His numbers are actually better than this, but it just depends on how you're doing. This is the baseline numbers. This is what you should be. If you're not getting these numbers, we need to evaluate what you're doing.
Yeah, well, who are you calling? What are you calling? What are you saying? How are you handling the objections? But baseline numbers, so that this actually, confirms the 10-3-1. If you simplify it, just add another 0 to it, and telling you the process of how that takes place and why they're coming up with the numbers, right?
If you're putting together a business plan and know what numbers you're trying to hit, we know exactly what you need to do to hit them. All you gotta do is do the work to hit them.
Yeah, so it's real easy to work backwards, once you know the numbers, right? Now, what about the ones that didn't show? You'll end up getting, that 70%, 35 appointments in the field. With the 70% that didn't show.
Only if you follow up.
Yeah. Only if you follow up. So if you're in a warm market, you say something like this. You call the people that didn't follow up, right? Saturday was such a huge success. I'm kind of glad you didn't show. It was really crowded. I know it was important for Jim to get you the information that you missed. We're already going to be in your area Tuesday and Thursday. What day works better for you? Great. What's the earliest I can show up and the latest I can show up? That's perfect. I'll give you a call and let you know what time I'll be there.
Hey Ricky, there's just one thing I add to that. I usually say, I wanna make sure you get the information that you're coming.
Okay? You can see that?
Just so they know why you're coming.
Yeah, because the whole point, well, like in the script, the whole point is, it's important for Jim to get you, make sure that you get the information that we covered in the meeting, so you let them know the one they missed a big event. But you're not trying to re-invite them, right?
Why?
Because you don't want to re-invite them because they already turned you down. So they already proved they were flake.
Taking it away.
Well, the other thing too is you can let them know that I told people you were coming down, and I was embarrassed
Yeah?
because I put myself out there for you. So let's not do that again. I'll come to you and I'll go over
Yeah.
the information that we covered.
So you're taking the meeting to them. Yeah. So you let them know that there was a big event they missed. And that's important for the person that invited you to get you this information. Important to them that you see this information. And that I'm not re-inviting you. I'm bringing the meeting back to you. Because I need to take control. Make sense?
Yeah, but Ricky, through the process, they will eventually come back to me, all right?
Or you can just talk to 100 of them.
Yeah, the one-on-one. And then,
Now they're more likely to show up because you gave them more value.
yeah.
The reason why they didn't show up the first time, realistically, is whatever they were doing was more important than being here. So when you raise the value level of being here to a higher level, now they'll show up. You can't say this to them, but you have to understand whatever they did was more important than being here. So I didn't give them enough value. Because we've had people travel from Santa Barbara to Walnut for appointments and different stuff like that. We have Orange County, different stuff. We gotta make sure we're providing the value. If they see the value, they'll show up. So just know between yourself, when someone doesn't show up, I didn't give them enough value. That's the bottom line. Because they would have done it. Now, if something comes up, someone passed away, they're in the hospital, we get that. They'll call you. I'll figure out another time we can get together, take care of your family, take care of the situation. We'll figure out the next best time you can come down. But, is it every Saturday? It depends, but this Saturday, my wife is speaking and a CEO is speaking. This is a big deal. This is a big Saturday. I don't know if that's going to be the case next Saturday, but let me see what I can do to get you in, or when can I meet with you? The information, the key is getting the information out to the people so they can see the value, and the next time you invite them, they'll definitely come down.
Now, but your question, if I heard you correctly, was if we go to them, will they come back? Well, not necessarily. That's not a guarantee.
Yeah, when you go to them, you're gonna ask them to fill out the card just like they would here anyway. So they are gonna sign up for an interview, or they may wanna get a financial plan done. So you're actually doing the same thing as if you would have gone to the BPM. And like Dean said, if you show them enough value and they seem like they're interested, I go straight to an interview after that. I don't invite them back to the BPM. They're coming in for an interview.
I've had people that are guests of mine that had code numbers. Because they're already coded, but they haven't come in as a guest yet. You have to come in as a guest. So there's nothing wrong with that. They come in with a red name badge. So I want you to see how our agents are treated, how our guests are treated. So I want you to come in, Ricky. on Wednesday night and see how
You can
what
see our office.
what it feels like to be a guest, have them give the tour, go through, and of course I want you to see the presentation because you're going to be inviting guests in the future, so you should understand what that's like.
Right. Steve?
So I was just gonna throw this out there. I did some looking at my numbers, and I've listened to Ed Milet's scripting CD 150 times, just over 150 times in the last 45 days. And here's what I'll tell you. You know, Ed makes it very clear, you have to remove yourself from the outcome, and it's not about you, it's not about any of these other things, you just share the message. You talk to 100 new people, that's where it's going to happen. You can't revive the dead, you can't make timing right for somebody, you can't change any of these other things. Your job isn't to change a person, your job is to share the message and allow the timing to make it right. And when the timing is right, that's when they see value in what you had to say. Value of driving is value of seeking you out is something that takes place over time as you build that relationship. But you can't take it personal. You have to remove yourself from the outcome. Just talk to 100 new people.
Pretty much.
And if talking to 100 new people every week isn't getting it done, talk to 1,000 new people every week. The thing is nobody can do anything if you're not talking to new people. The same people you know are not going to make you rich. If they were, they would have made you rich already. The people that you need to find are the people you haven't met yet. And you can't take a no personal, you can't take a no-show personal, you can't take somebody quitting because they don't believe in themselves enough personal. It has nothing to do with you, your value, or anything else. You're an amazing person, you're a child of God, you're doing good work. What we do here has value. You're great. Just talk to more people and don't let other people's situations drag you down. Say your affirmations, get in a good headspace, and go out there and help people. Stop worrying about trying to get the same 15 people down here. Talk to 100 new people. And you'll find the one that you want, that you're looking for.
When fishermen fish, they use nets. And the bigger the net, the more fish they get. Our net is the amount of calls that we make. The more calls you make, the more fish or people that you have a potential to catch. The less calls you make, the less you're gonna get. And the less calls you make, the ones that make the less calls are the ones that get the most frustrated because they haven't built the muscle and they don't realize what the numbers are because they haven't experienced it. So if you're not making calls, this is theory to you. But if you're actually making the calls, you already know that all I need is to get 100 confirmed, I will get here. The trick is how fast do I want to get there? Christopher Schleiman said, if I knew for a fact that if I pulled the slot machine 5,000 times that I make $1 million, how many?
5,000 quarters.
You
get 5,000
pull it
and
as
you
fast
pull
as
it,
you
right?
could.
Yeah.
You get through those 5,000 poles as fast as
As
you
fast as you humanly could, right? So you need to know the numbers to get your goal, to get there as fast as you humanly could to get the goal. Because I came up with a big goal when I was thinking about this. I came up with a big goal just the other day, which I'll tell you in a second. So check this out. So if you get just four personal guests a week, right? Just 4. And that's 16 a month. According to the numbers, that gets you about a minimum of about 2 directs a month. Two directs a month. 2 directs a month is 24 directs a year. I looked at the leaders bulletin to see where 24 was. Out of 55,000 agents, you will be ranked in the top 188. You'll be ranked number 188. Just getting 24 directs a year. I can't believe that us, individually, there's no one in here that I see that literally can't do 2 directs on a monthly basis. Anybody here think they cannot do 2 directs? Not that you won't do the work to get it done, that you can't do it, right? Everybody here has the ability and the capability to get 2 directs every single month. True or false?
True.
True, right? And to do that, you just need 4 personal guests a week, which will give you 16 personal guests a month. Now the question is, man, how many phone calls do I gotta make to get that? And so, to get 100 confirmed guests, I guess, it's a guess because there's no exact science to this, but you gotta do about, correct me if I'm wrong guys, probably about 400 calls. Yeah, I'm thinking about 1 out of 4. Not even that, even being good. Because you practice, you know the objections. So if you're just getting at a 25% ratio, right? And you're personally making the phone calls, and you get 400, and 100 of those get confirmed, you can do that. So I was looking at the numbers, I said, okay, here's what I'm gonna do, right? So I committed, I said, I'm gonna make 1,000 calls. 1,000. No. No. I don't even know how fast I'm gonna get there. I'm just trying to get there as fast as I can, right?
Doing 1,000 pulls.
So even at 1,000, right? Because I was figuring out the number. So at 1,000 calls, all right? And let's say, just for argument's sake, because in the financial services industry, those guys got to sit behind a desk 200, 300 calls a day. That's a whole lot of calls, right? But let's just say you could do it in 90 days, just for argument's sake.
We did it in 5 months.
Huh?
We just did 1,000 calls in 5 months.
Okay, so let's say 5 months. Let's say you did it in 5 months, 1,000 calls, right? And if the ratio is, let's assume the ratio is 25%. That for every 400 calls you make, you're gonna get 100 confirmed guests. So that would be, I wrote it down. That would be 250 confirmed guests, right? Which would give you 27 recruits, based on the numbers. So if you knew that you could get 27 recruits if you made 1,000 calls, and you knew it for a fact, right? How fast would you make that 1,000? I mean, if it took you 5 months, and you had 27 recruits in 5 months, who would be disappointed? Who'd be excited? Yes. Yeah. Because here's the thing. I also got to believe that that average starts to go up. Because if you're making 1,000 calls, you're building the calling muscle. And so you're making more, so you'll probably get it done in less than 5 months over time, right? And then you're going to be real good at the objections on the phone. So you're going to know every objection that's coming. And you're also going to be confident, and you're also going to be immune to being told no. And you'll probably get happy that you got the no out the way, because you know the yeses are going to eventually end up coming, because you got 1,000 calls that you're going to make, and you know 250 of them are going to say yes, they're coming to BPM, and you know that's going to end up being 27 recruits, and you also know you're going to be in a warm market eventually, really fast, right? So I told myself, 1,000 calls. I'm going to try to do it in 90 days. 1,000. I want to do it less than 90, actually. I could probably do it less than 90. I could. Because what I want to do is take the same mentality. So think about this. Have you ever done something really hard and did it, and you didn't know if you can do it when you started?
Yeah.
Let me see a show of hands. Okay, so what was that mentality?
You're gonna get there.
You were going to get there, and nothing is going to stop you from doing it. Come hell or high water, you're getting it done. Whatever the obstacle is, you're going to overcome it, right? And you're going to get it done. See, in this goal here, you completely control it. You don't control this, you don't control this, but you do control this. So you focus on what you can control. Get the 1,000. So when I went on, so at the beginning of the year, these guys are watching me. I did a 21-day fast, no water. I mean, whew.
Whoa.
No, I did water. That was the only thing I did. No food for 21 days, right? And there were times where I really wanted to eat. I remember sitting in there with these guys, and they're just purposely
Taunting you.
yeah, pretty much. And I just,
wouldn't say Tom. You just happened to be in front of me when I was eating.
whatever.
Okay.
And I was taunting. And I remember one day I just looked at him. It's like, I got an announcement to make.
Wait, a
And this-
cheeseburger, Tom?
Yeah. And this like halfway through the fast, and I just looked at him and said, I'm hungry. And they just start cracking up, right? And then he came up with this song. He said, we don't need food, we got water. Firing up to finish it, right? But because I had told them I did it, the last thing I wanted to do was not finish it. And so I had that mentality that I'm not gonna eat. And so I got myself immune that I would even go out to lunch with them and it wouldn't bother me after a while. But once you get to a certain point, then it comes easier. You're still hungry. So it's like even when you make a call, you still don't want to make the calls, but you're going to make it because you're used to it now. My system got used to not eating. You'll get used to making the call because the daily units of activity that we talk about is actually just there to build a habit, to get you the actual units of activity. So what you want to do is start building the habit. I would encourage you to just start counting the calls now. And then make a goal on a certain day. I'm going to hit 1,000 calls. Because if you hit the 1,000 calls, consistently making the calls and getting better as you make the call, what are the chances of you actually, what if you accidentally got 27 recruits?
Being freaked out, then what just happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what would happen to your business? You get some sign and dies and stuff like that, but your business would literally explode. You'd be recognized at the Synergy Wealth Bowl and convention when we do our hierarchy meetings. 27 recruits? That's phenomenal. In half a year. Who wants that? They don't want it.
There's also a sharp difference when you go over 20 calls a day. Because if you're under 20 calls a day, you never warm up and you don't get the results. I mean, we're relentless about tracking our metrics right now to improve our ratios. But Tom went from 2 directs in January, February, March to 4 directs in April. That we're already at 5 for this month and we're going to 7 this month.
Do you know out of those 1,000 calls how many recruits you guys end up getting? Do you have any idea?
18.
18.
You're
Okay.
not counting the ones under possessions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
18. So we were at 18. But our numbers sharply improved as we got out. So the numbers were slow in the beginning because he was building his muscles.
Exactly.
But the thing is his baseline of units through the first 90 days, he started to triple once he got
Because he got
consistent.
good, he got momentum, and he got confident. And he knew the game plan, so he knew when to punt, move on, and when to dig in deeper to get the more objections.
But we also found out it's better to do 20 calls in one day than do 5 calls over 3 days.
So yeah, so 5 calls over 3 days, you're not going to ever get any momentum. So the law of momentum is like this: if a train is moving, not moving, you can put a block in front of it, and it'll never get going. But when a train's going full speed ahead, you put a brick wall in front of it, it'll go right through. So you gotta get that law of momentum working in your favor, right? You have to make the calls. There's absolutely no way around it if you want to build a business and grow financially.
My first call was terrifying. One of us here would testify to that. It was terrifying. I hang up a couple of times on the individual when I was saying something to me. He was okay, I gotta get through. Anyway, just show that.
So when you're getting your personal appointments, because you want to make money here, right?
Yep.
You want about 13 KTPs a week. Mario, when he went on his run,
Sergio.
I said Sergio. I don't know what you guys are hearing, and I don't know what that thing's recording, but I know what I'm saying, right? Sergio, he was doing like 32 to 40. But he was like, don't show him this. But he was like leveraging people too, right? So he was doing 32 to 40. So if you're doing 13, then there's numbers with this too. This is booking 13 appointments, right? Just booking. You're going to have cancellations and reschedulings, right? So 5 are going to cancel or reschedule. Three or 4 are going to be out of the market. And about 5 are going to get you a second appointment. So to do that, you're going to need about an average of 20 units of activity a week. And 20 units of activity a week are guests, KTPs. Those are your units of activity. So you need to do about 20 of those a week where you got confirmed guests and a mixture of KTPs. Now with those appointments, you're going to be doing about 2 to 3 apps a week. Which will give you about 8 to 12 apps a month. And that's going to be like a mixture, IUL, maybe it's like, we'll be conservative, let's say it's $200 a month, and you got your term apps, $100 a month, just for argument's sake. And just let's say you're doing 8 apps a month, and you got a mixture of term and apps, term and perm policies, IULs. Let's say you're doing 12,000 points. As a result of those, right? You got to, and that's conservative. You're doing 8 to 12 apps. You're probably going to end up doing more than 12,000 points. But let's just say you're doing 12,000 points a month, right? If you're doing 12,000 points a month, and you're a training associate, that's about $3,000. If you're an associate, it's like $4,200. If you're a senior associate, that's like $5,400. If you're an MD, like $6,000 a month. An SMD, it's like $7,800. And don't get a rollover. Don't throw a rollover in there. That'll make it even better. But if you're doing this, let's say you're a senior associate and you're recruiting and you got people underneath you, right? How many senior associates we got in here? 1, 2. How many associates we got in here? We'll use associate. Let's say you're an associate. You're an associate, and you got 2 training associates that go out in the field. And the training associates, they get, for that week, 2 apps, right? At $200 a month. That's 2,400 points. That's 4,800 points on 2 apps, right? So 4,800 points. What's 40? Who's got a calculator? What's 4,800 times? 4,800 times. What's the for the contract of the associate? 1,680. What about the training associate? 1,200. So the training associates make $1,200. If both of them did it. The associate, if he went out on his own and also got one, he got 1,680. But he overrides another 320. Or 480, I'm sorry. 480 twice.
Actually, 4 of them.
So
That's
it's
960.
1920.
So 1680 plus 1920. 6. So he made $3,600 just by being out in the field one time, while his 2 training associates went out in the field and closed. But he was able to override it. So making the call, we were just talking about getting guests to the BPM. But the other benefit of that, you're also going out in the field. And as you, those 27 guests that you brought in, or those 27 recruits come in, and they're a fast starter and they go out in the field, now you begin to start overriding them. And now you see the power of multiplex income as it relates to WFG. The whole thing is, though, it's still going to come back to you got to do step 1. And what is step 1? Make the calls. You've got to make the calls. See, the challenge we got is we're not making the calls. How many people can honestly say they are consistently making calls every single day? Right, a couple of us, right? The rest of us aren't. So if we're only a couple of us are making calls every single day, how can the rest of you actually think that you're going to succeed in this business if you're not doing the very thing that's going to help you get to where you want to go? Which is making the call. If you're not making the calls, you're going to get 0 recruits. If you're not making the calls, you're going to have 0 guests to the BPM. If you're not making the calls, you're going to have 0 appointments. If you're not making the calls, you're going to have $0. So that's the math you want to know, right there. You can't multiply 0. This business is like planting seeds, right? The beauty of planting seeds, when you plant a seed, it multiplies. So a farmer is always planting seeds, knowing he's going to get a bigger crop. Our seeds is our mouth. We have to talk to people. We have to be diligently on the phone, calling people that we don't know, learning the scripts to get them to come here so that the ones that are good at talking to them can close them. All you got to do is get them to come here. The system takes care of everything else. What the system is not going to do is make the calls for you. So when we do phone zone, you should be here. After work, if you're working part-time, you should be here making the calls. Question. Anybody making calls at home?
Yeah.
Where should you really be making the calls? Here. In the office. Where everybody else is making the calls. And you have the atmosphere. It was great to see Michelle hanging with us making calls. Right? And I think when she was listening to us make the calls, and we were having fun, and we were making fun of each other, did you have a good time? Did it inspire you? Did you go out here and start making calls as a result? Yeah, because you heard what some of the objectives we were getting. It's like sports, right? It's a game plan. The scripts is part of the game plan. How you handle the objections is part of the game plan. Once you know the game plan, you're prepared. Some of you guys don't know the scripts, so you have no confidence because you're unprepared when you make the calls, and as a result, the results of someone that's unprepared is catastrophic. And the only way to get prepared is to be here, watch us make the calls, right? And you start making them. Even in sports, practice, drill, and rehearse.
As a team, they all show up.
Right now in football, it's not football season, but they're in OTAs, and they're practicing right now together as a team, and those are voluntary. They're not getting paid to do that. You're not going to get paid to come in here and make the call, but you're going to get paid for the results that you get as a result of you not getting paid to make the calls because you're consistently making the calls. I don't know how to drill any more down the road that you have to make the call, and you got to make a bunch of them.
And they practice on their own. They go to the gym on their own. They have their own memberships. And you guys should be doing the practicing the scripts on your own, the presentation on your own. When you come to practice with the team, you can show where you're at. You can get feedback. You can get corrected.
Yep.
So you got on the field, you can win.
You can win, exactly. But there's personal development as part of that by practicing on your own too. So before I started, like when I was started first doing the presentations, I practiced it, right? I listened to everybody else, I listened to their stories, and I practiced it, right? Same with the scripts. I practiced it. Was I scared to make the first call I ever made? Heck yeah. Did I stumble? Heck yeah. We all stumble. You can't be afraid to make mistakes. That's the other thing. It's a risk. Are you uncomfortable doing it? Of course. But everybody that's succeeding took a risk, went past their comfort zone, did what they needed to do to get the results that they're getting. The people that you're talking to are mostly in quadrant 1. So the chances of you getting them, you're already off to a bad start just on the odds in and of itself. But those are not the people that we're looking for. We're looking at the people that are disturbed, right? And looking for something better. And you got to play the numbers game to actually get there. So you're going to get mostly no's. So get used to getting told no. Be okay with no. It has nothing to do with you. So, your personal whip, you want 2 to 3 a month, right? And get to DDR. What's DDR? You got to get to DDR. So that means you got to have 3 to 5 new units of activity every day. And what's a unit of activity? A guest to the BPM or an appointment, right? So you got to have 3 to 5 of these every single day. What you want? Because again, the baseline units of activity, what you were talking about, that helps build the muscle. The end result that you want, as a result of building the muscle, which is making the call, is this. 3 to 5 new units of activity every single day. So the BFF talks about mini days. Who's heard of mini days? So you do 3 mini days. In the morning.
2 minutes.
No, not mini weeks.
2 minutes.
Good. Right on time. In the morning you're making your calls. You got your baseline units of activity. Or for Dean Steen phone calls. And your units of activity. Which is actually the results. Right? That's the morning. That's what your morning should look like. Making calls, baseline units, and then your units of activity. In the afternoon, you got your one-on-ones, your fast start, your interviews, and your prospecting. That's what your afternoon should look like. And in the evening, you're basically meeting with people. Whether it's KTPs, if you don't have any KTPs, maybe you meet with agents. And in the KTP, to build a muscle, you're gonna go whether it's a good market or a bad market, right? Because you want to just build a muscle.
That's fun.
Chris, you're basically just sharpening your skills.
Ice cream.
Your days, they're measured by how many appointments did I set up and how many guests did I get. Or how many guests did I get confirmed, right? That's how your days are measured. Your weeks are measured by how many recruits, how many appointments got closed, how many fast starts, and how many interviews you got. That's how you measure your weeks, all right? So in closing, what's the #1 priority moving forward that you're gonna have?
Make the call.
Make the calls. Because we're coming together now as a team, right? Wednesdays and Tuesdays combined. What we want, what? JMTC is in our office, just make the calls. You're not allowed to just come in here without making the calls. You have to just make the calls, right? The results will come. My last, 11, 12 people that said they're coming did not come. I gotta make the calls. That's the fix, making the calls. I know how to make phone calls. I know how to handle the objections. They said no, they said yes, then they lied. I can't control that. I control one thing, making the calls, right? So I just want to encourage you. You want the life that you want? Get good on the phone. But before you can get good on the phones, you have to make a decision that you're going to make the calls, right? So have a goal. How many calls am I going to make this week? All right?
All right.
You guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Whoosh out.
Thank you.